Salut coders, welcome back to another YouTube tutorial, and this is the continuation, episode 2 of our playlist. In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can create an AWS EKS cluster using Terraform. On previous tutorial, I showed you how we can push a Docker image to ECR. So this is the continuation. So let's get started. You can visit codewithbiscuit.com, and in codewithbiscuit.com you can select the AWS DevOps playlist. Then right now we are on episode 2, so choose this episode 2. So from our episode 2, our main goal, there are some software that you have to install for you to get started with our deployment, and also setting up the Terraform infrastructure as a code. So you must install the Terraform client, and also we are going to define EKS cluster configurations, and we are going to also to go through IAM roles and policies for your account and also for EKS. And we want also to launch the worker nodes and be able to, I will show you the best practice. So this is a step-by-step guide that I want to walk you through, and I choose Terraform because as you know, if you have some files, you can save it in our Git for version control, and other as a team you can work like deploying different environments, and you can also reuse these files maybe after a year, so then someone knows how to create a EKS cluster on console. What happens is someone leave the company and he was the only one who knows how to create the cluster. So that's why we have this Terraform, which we can use those files. Someone just have to write the instruction and it will create the environment for us, the roles and policies. So we have to install the Terraform. For you to install the Terraform, you have to visit this link, which is the Terraform installation of Terraform. So you can visit the link and you can choose based on your operating system. For me, I'm on Mac. I can use this Mac OS. So I just copy this and run this command on terminal. Then you have to copy this also and run it on terminal again. So after doing this, we can come back also to our, you can install this EKS control. Just click the link and choose the operating system that you are using. This is for Unix, like the Linux guys, and also for Mac OS you just follow these instructions. And we can install also kube control to run Kubernetes commands. So this command line interface is used for communication with the Kubernetes clusters plan. It is used to run Kubernetes commands. So you have to install it because we shall use Kubernetes. Then you must also install AWS client. Make sure you have AWS client installed on your computer, so that we'll be able to come to run the commands on AWS infrastructure. So these are the steps that you're supposed to follow if you want to install the AWS client. Yeah, you can choose your operating system and you can install. On my computer, I already installed these softwares, and you must have Visual Studio installed on your computer. So if you don't, you just download it. If you don't have Visual Studio Code, you can download it and you can choose your operating system. After doing that, let's move on. So open your Visual Studio Code, and we want to add these extensions. So just copy this first extension, and I open my Visual Studio Code. So this is my Visual Studio Code. So you just go here where there's extension section, and we want to search this extension, which is HashiCorp Terraform, and then we can install it. Right now it's being installed. After doing that, we want to also install the Terraform autocomplete for errors. We'll be able to minimize error handling when we are working with the Terraform. So it will suggest us with the keywords. So as you can see, this is how it works, the auto completion, what you are trying to do, right? Then after doing that, let's continue. So in your computer, you have to check if you have AWS installed. Like if you are configured AWS credentials on your computer, so you can run this. On my computer, I already configured those. So for you, you have to run this command, and you get the user who is logged in on your computer, right? So you can run this command, and after doing that on your computer, you have to run AWS configure so that you can add your credentials. So let's go to IAM roles. You have to follow. We want to go to users. So based on your user that you are using to log in, make sure you go to security credentials, and you can create a new access key by, you can come here and select command line and click next, and you enter your something here. Then you can download your access key. So I can say access key 2, and then you click create access key. Make sure you download your access keys and put them in a safe place. Don't share these keys with anyone. So I can download these keys and I can use these keys. So after doing that, you have to come back to our here. You can come to your terminal, and then you say AWS configure. You can run this command. Here you can enter your access keys. You can follow the steps. You can enter your access key. You can enter your secret key and your region. And then for format, you just say JSON. So for me, I have the keys configured on my computer, so I don't have to go through the same process again. So let's come back to our blog. So those keys you just configure and add them on AWS configure. So this is going to be your reference, this blog, on the steps or what you are supposed to do. So you just type AWS configure. After doing that, you can run this command. If you configure well your details, if you run this command, it will show you the user that you are using. So it means I'll be able to log in on AWS infrastructure. So let's continue. After doing that, we need to create a work directory that we can use that we can add these files, which is a environment TS file, variables TS file, and main TS file. So for us to continue with this, we can go to our VS Code. So on your VS Code, you just say file, or you can just say file, a new project directory. This is the name of the folder. So in this folder, I added 2 files, and these are the 2 files which are variables and main.tf files. For TF for Terraform. So in this file, in these variables, we have this list of subnets, right? So for you must add your own subnets here. So for me, I'm using Paris, which is EU West 3. So you can choose your region, and then in that region we must take the subnets that are in that region. So how do you know the subnets in that region? You have to come here. You can go to your terminal. Into your terminal, you can search your VPC, and you can go to your VPCs. Into your VPC, you can go to subnets. These are 3 subnets that are in this VPC, and as you can see, I'm region Paris. So make sure you pick the EUST3. These are the variables that you are seeing in the variables file, and the subnets, the IDs. If I click the first one, these are the subnets. So this is the subnet ID. So you just copy this subnet ID and come back again, copy also the other subnet ID, come again, copy this subnet ID, then add those subnet ID into your file. So here in our main file, this is the source that we are using, which is HashiCorp AWS. This is the provider, and we are going to create the rows. So we are going to create this row, which is EKS cluster IAM row. So this row is responsible for creating the EKS cluster, and the row have this Amazon cluster policy and the Amazon EC2 container registry read only. So we gave it two minimal rows for it to work. So for here, I'm using code with BISC. This is going to be the name of my cluster. So for you can just put your company name, and then after that you can change it, remove code with BISC and put your company name. So my cluster name is going to be code with BISC, and these are the resources that are going to be created, and the policies and permissions, and like the desired size of instance. Yeah. So other things, I'm not going to teach you more about how Terraform works, but I'm giving you a highlight, and you can use this one to create your Terraform, to create the environment using Terraform. So we shall have more videos whereby I'll be teaching you how to write these Terraform files. But for now, just know that with this Terraform file, you'll be able to create your cluster. So please note that in here, I'm using T3 Micro, which is the cheapest EC2 instance. So if you pick a large instance, it will be more costly. So I chose the smallest one with 1 gig RAM. So it won't be that expensive if I'm running this just for testing purpose. And if you are going on production as an organization, it's better to choose a better EC2 instance, like some of the T3 extra something. Yeah, choose those ones. You can look for those on the AWS page. So after doing that, let's continue with our blog. So after doing this, we need to run this command. Which is Terraform init. This is responsible for initializing the Terraform. So let's run this one. So on my Visual Studio Code here, I will just, in this same directory where I have these two files, which is the variables and main TF, I can run Terraform init. So it was initialized. I can say Terraform plan, something that we are going to, it will show us the details of the resources that are going to be created. So these are the resources, like the rows and policies, and also the instance, and the VPC where it's going to be created, where our cluster is going to be created. After doing that, if you are happy with this plan, we have to run Terraform apply. Then you type yes. So it's now starting to create the EKS cluster with those files. So if you come here, if you search for EKS, if you go to our EKS cluster, you can see the creation is now in progress. It's now creating the cluster. So let's wait, I think, for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because it will take a while. As you can see, our cluster has been created. As you can see here, 10 resources were added, 0 changed or 0 destroyed. So let's open on the browser and let's refresh this page and see. Here it shows that the cluster has been created. You can open the cluster and you can see it was created 13 minutes ago, and it took time to create the cluster. So let's go to our blog and run few commands to see our cluster information. So let's try to run this cluster. I'm sure it show an error. So if I try to run it, let's see. So to fix this error, I skip this step. So in this step, you have to copy this command so that you can update our .cube file. So in that cube file, that's where we add like the address of the EKS cluster, which is the IP address, so that when we run these commands, it will connect to that IP address, so that we'll be able to run Kubernetes commands. So in here, the name of my cluster is code with Bisq. So as for yours, you have to come into our clusters. This is the cluster name, which is code with Bisq. So I'm using that, using this name. So, and the region, it's EU West 3, like what I told you, I'm in region EU West 3. So by copying that command, you can paste this and press enter, and it will update the cube file for you. As you can see, this file config has been updated. So let me run the previous command and see the cluster information. You can see now I will be able to run this command. And if I come to our blog, if I say run this to get all the pods that are running, so now I'll be able to run Kubernetes commands. Everything is running well. So from this video, I wanted to show you how you can create this cluster using Terraform. This is the same process like creating this cluster by going this process, but I showed you how to use Terraform, and I will then save this file in my Git, and I can use it after a year or 2 years, because I know these files are working correctly. So if you don't want to use this cluster again, you can just run a destroy, which you can run command Terraform destroy, and all the resources that you created will be removed. So here, let's come here, because this is where I have my files, main.ts. I can run Terraform, and it will give me a confirmation, and then I can say yes, delete all these resources. So after a while, it took time to destroy our infrastructure. After a while, it will destroy everything. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned how to create a EKS infrastructure using Terraform. If you are new to this channel, may you kindly subscribe and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we upload new videos. Salut coders, let's meet on another next video.